Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're literally jumping straight onto the factory floor to uncover the gritty reality of cosmetics manufacturing. We're zeroing in on Module 6 of the ISO 22716 Good Manufacturing Practice Guidelines, focusing entirely on production and process control. If you've ever wondered how major cosmetics facilities manage to churn out millions of units without massive errors, well, the secret isn't luck. It's all about rigorous, unyielding production controls that stop disasters before they even happen. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our agenda for today. We'll hit the high stakes of production, check out the batch record blueprint, talk about mastering line clearance, see how in-process controls save runs, and finally, look at all of this through the strict lens of a compliance auditor. Section 1. The high stakes of production. Let's talk about preventing failures. It's absolutely crucial to immediately frame compliance here not as some boring administrative tick box exercise, but as a high-stakes mission to protect both the product and the consumer. Production discipline is, hands down, our primary defense against the two most catastrophic commercial and regulatory disasters you can face: contamination and mix-ups. Now, contamination can be microbial, it could be cross-product, like a previous batch bleeding into a new one, or it could literally be a foreign body dropping into the mix. Yikes. And mix-ups, they're equally dangerous. Think about dispensing the wrong ingredients, slapping the wrong label on a bottle, or filling an entirely wrong variant. When millions of units hit the shelves, a single slip in production discipline can mean massive product recalls, ruined brand reputations, and real consumer harm. Moving on to Section 2, the batch record blueprint. This is our central document. So how do we actually prevent these failures on a day-to-day basis? Well, it all comes down to the core documentation. And there's a really critical distinction to make here between the master batch record and the executed batch record. The master batch record, or MBR, is your approved master formula. It's the perfect untouched recipe and process template that basically sits safely in a vault. But the executed batch record, the BR, well, that's what lives and breathes out there on the factory floor. The executed BR is your legal evidence of what actually happened. It proves exactly what was dispensed, records the in-process controls, tracks specific machine parameters, and calculates the final yield. Basically, the master is the ideal plan, while the executed record is the cold, hard legal evidence that the batch was made exactly as intended. All right, Section 3, Mastering Line Clearance. Let's look at campaign changeovers. We're moving off the page and right onto the factory floor to see these blueprints in action during a highly critical moment, the changeover. I want you to imagine you're standing right in the middle of a bustling cosmetics facility. The line has just finished a massive campaign of vibrant, highly pigmented red lipstick. Next up on the schedule, a delicate, light peach lipstick. Now, if even a microscopic speck of that red pigment, or just a stray red label, makes it into the peach run, the entire new batch is ruined. Done. And this is exactly where strict line clearance comes in. Step 1, operators absolutely must physically remove all red bullets, red labels, and red cartons from the entire area. Just get them out of there. Step 2, they disassemble and clean the equipment per standard operating procedures and visually verify that cleaning, often using swabs. Step 3, they bring in and stage only the peach components. Nothing else can be in that area. And Step 4, all of this must be verified by a second operator. This strict step-by-step physical separation is exactly how we prevent those catastrophic variant mix-ups. To ground this theory in the gritty reality of operations, here's the 7-point checklist operators live by. First, the previous product is completely removed and equipment is cleaned and visually verified. Only then are the correct change parts and new components staged. Next up, labels are rigorously verified against issuance, machine settings are locked in, and the first article is checked against spec. Finally, documentation is signed off, usually by 2 people, and a time-stamped batch start officially kicks off the run. Next up, Section 4, In-Process Controls, Save Runs. Let's talk about defined checks. Okay, so we've cleared the line and we've started the batch. Now, let's shift to what happens during the actual run itself. In-Process Controls, or IPCs, are defined checks at defined steps. We're talking about things like checking the pH, testing the viscosity, or weighing the filled units. You can really think of IPCs as non-negotiable gates. The product absolutely must pass through these gates, meeting exact specifications, before it's allowed to continue down the line. If it fails the check, the gate closes. Simple as that. But hey, things happen in the real world, right? Imagine you're halfway through filling a highly sensitive serum batch. The line is just humming along at full speed. Then, suddenly, the operator realizes the mandatory 30-minute IPC viscosity check was accidentally skipped. Whoops. There's now a 40-minute gap where finished units have just been accumulating. What do you do? So the crucial point here is you never ever just keep running and hope for the best. And you certainly never silently amend the record to cover it up. No way. The strict guidance here is to immediately stop the line. You quarantine all those accumulated units that were filled during the gap, marking them as in test. You raise a formal deviation, then you actually test the retained bulk retrospectively to see if the viscosity was, in fact, in spec. Based on those hard results, you either release it with a deviation, rework the product, or reject it entirely. Transparency and investigation really are the only defensible paths here. Finally, Section 5, Surviving the Auditor's Lens. What are inspectors actually checking? Let's shift our perspective for a second to how an external inspector views these exact factory floor realities. And this brilliantly illustrates how our daily tasks map directly to the strict expectations of a compliance auditor. Where a production operator just sees a master formula, the auditor looks to see if it is strictly versioned and signed. Where we see line clearance records, the auditor is hunting for that second operator verification signature. When we log IPC data, the auditor checks to ensure any out-of-specification or OOS results automatically triggered a deviation. And for the final yield, the auditor isn't just looking at the number. They want solid proof that any variance between the theoretical yield and the actual yield was fully investigated for loss, theft, or error. All of this builds to one of the most vital insights of this explainer. Just look at this staggering fact. Label mix-ups are the most common recall root cause across the entire cosmetics industry. Not microbial contamination, not bad ingredients, literally just slapping the wrong label on the right bottle or the right label on the wrong bottle. This really underscores exactly why label control, strict variant segregation, and scan-to-confirm barcode systems are absolutely non-negotiable on the factory floor. Because of these immense risks, auditors have a built-in radar for very specific red flags. They look for line clearance that's treated as a mindless tick box exercise, where real physical checks just aren't happening. They look for IPCs being skipped because operators are under extreme production pressure. They look for yield reconciliations that are totally ignored, which often hides massive underlying errors. They hunt for truncated cleaning between batches, which virtually guarantees cross-contamination. And they look for deviations that are quickly closed without any real root cause analysis, which basically means the exact same error is inevitable tomorrow. These silent breaches hide massive company-ending risks. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Next time you're on the floor or reviewing a batch record, I want you to ask yourself, are your checklists just tick boxes, or are they the only thing standing between a perfect run and a commercial disaster? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer on production and process control. Take this mindset with you and apply it on your very next shift.